One of the best parts about Zelda games has to be the boss fights, right? Think about it, you enter every dungeon knowing there's a giant monster or some sort of, I don't know, robot head with floating hands waiting for you. You're Link, 9 times out of 10 a young lad with nothing but a sword, shield, and sometimes a slingshot or other gadgets, and a whole lot of courage. You feel connected to this character. Sure, it's fun to finally slay Sif the Scaleless in Dark Souls, but Zelda bosses just feel different in a way that's hard to describe. So I won't. But anyway, here's my top 5 Zelda bosses of all time in no particular order, starting right now. Imagine you just fought your way through the Great Deku Tree on your first playthrough of a Zelda game ever. You come into this dark room with fog and you hear a rustling sound coming from somewhere, so you decide to take a look around. As your eyes peer up to the ceiling, all you see is a giant orange eyeball looking back at you, and down drops this giant one-eyed monster screeching at you with malicious intent. Next thing you see is a little title pop up, the parasitic armored arachnid, Goma. This was the first boss fight I ever faced in any video game. Albeit an easy boss, it was what really started it all for me. I loved the design, the atmosphere for your first boss fight, and the gimmick being heavily focused around my newly acquired slingshot was amazing for me. The only disappointing part is how easy this fight is. I timed it the last time I played it about a year ago, and it took me about 30 seconds to defeat, which is pretty underwhelming. So you could say this is a nostalgia pick for me, which it 100% is, but well, gotta have a nostalgia pick in one of these, right? You've just finished fighting your way through the scorching hot fire temple, finally able to follow Darunia into the room he disappears into at the start, and are met with a long, fire-breathing dragon flying around the place, burning everything it comes near. The dragon is known as the subterranean lava dragon Volvagia. Look, I know this looks like Ocarina of Time favoritism, but I don't care. I'm a sucker for dragons, especially fire dragons, and smashing things with hammers is always fun. I love the music, I love the design of the boss, and like I said, smashing things with hammer is just fun. What I really like about this boss is the different phases. You have it flying around dropping boulders for you to dodge, it diving in and out of lava pits and slashing its hair at you, and overall it's a pretty challenging boss fight, especially if it's your first time. You've just waded your way through the desert, acquired a Beyblade item to ride on, and conquered the Arbiter's grounds, finally. Or have you? You enter a room with lots of, well, sand, and a giant skeleton of some defeated monster. Then all of a sudden a deep chuckle is heard. You look up and Zant has appeared wielding a blade of darkness. After a spiel about you being a hero, yada yada, he slams the sword into the skull of this beast and leaves the room. Not very nice. Next thing you know, the beast awakens from its eternal slumber and stares at you with its bright red eyes. The Twilight Fossil Stalord has appeared before you. What I love most about this boss is, well, the design of course. It's a terrifying skeleton demon from hell, but also how you have to Beyblade around it, destroying the Stelfos it spawns in, trailing down to hit it in the spine. Only to finally break said spine and think it's all over. Then next thing you know, second phase is entered and it's now on the chase, floating around, firing freaking laser beams at you from his mouth. It's just very hectic, okay, and I love it for that. And difficult too. Like, those Stelfos seem to always appear at the last second just as you're about to hit its spine, but I love it for that too. Annoying but beautiful at the same time. You've just made your way through the horrendously annoying Wind Temple, full of greenery and, well, wind, and you finally find the room that Makar needs to pray in as the new awakened Sage of the Wind, only to find a room full of, well, sand? As you make your way to the center, the sand starts to rise and fill the room even more, and then, from the sand rises the largest Zelda boss of all time, the Protector of the Seal, Mulgera. Also, can we talk about how amazing this boss's theme is? Astounding work by the team. What I love most about this boss is the design, the soundtrack, and how challenging it is without being super annoying. Like, the baby Mulgera is always getting in the way of your hook shot is annoying, sure, but you need to beat them first before you focus on the big guy, right? I think this is something I love in general about some Wind Waker bosses too, like the sheer size of them. Look at Wind Waker Goma and Puppet Ganon for example. Anyway, what's amazing is just the sheer small size of Toon Link in this game, then out comes Mulgera about 100 times the size. I love it. You've just made your way up Mount Krenel, climbing the rocky landscape, dodging lava and acquiring the cane of Patchy to like flip boulders and stuff, and you finally make it to the end of the dungeon. Or so you think. you fall down a hole into a room filled with lava. That's right, unlike Skyward Sword, the volcano boss is yet another fire dragon, which you love to see being a big dragon fan like I am. This boss is known as the Guardian of the Cave of Flames, Gleerok. I remember playing this game as a kid and being obsessed with this boss. I would draw it, make it out of modeling clay and paint it, you name it, I did it. Just something about the design that really makes me love it. I just have a thing for fire dragon-like things as well, as I mentioned earlier. And granted this looks more like a turtle, it's still a dragon to me, so leave me alone. Also, I will say this boss isn't the most difficult, but it's super memorable to me as a kid struggling with it. So also, once again, leave me alone. I do, however, really like the Gleeoks that appear in Tears of the Kingdom, and they hard reminded me of this boss from when I was a kid, so thanks for that, Nintendo. Honestly, this boss is what inspired me to make this video, so there. Anyway, that was my top 5 The Legend of Zelda bosses of all time. Let me know your own top 5 in the comments down below. I would love to hear your stories on them. Thank you so much for watching this video, and with that being said, I'll see you all in a bit.